Let's reflect on what's happened over the course of the last few days and what it means for our future and for our security, and perhaps what you can do about it. Remembrance Sunday, it's a big day, isn't it? Thousands of services taking place all over the country. It isn't just the cenotaph and the big city events, it's every village, in many cases even little hamlets, who have their own commemorations, thousands of them that take place. And yet, at 10:59, on Remembrance Sunday, a bomb went off in that car in Liverpool, in a car park at a women's hospital. The police are treating it as a terrorist incident. They're not sure of the motives. Was he trying to get to the cathedral in Liverpool just down the road, or was it an attack on the women's hospital? We don't know, but I'll tell you what we do know. We know that the man who was killed by that bomb that he was carrying, we know that he was what's called in the media a failed asylum seeker. Well, that means he was an illegal immigrant. He illegally entered the United Kingdom 7 years ago. He applied for refugee status and he was repeatedly refused. And yet, he wasn't deported, as he should have been. No, far from it. He was allowed to stay. In fact, we see lovely, happy, smiling pictures of him working in a pizza shop, and we're told he'd converted to Christianity. What a lovely, happy, young, smiling man. That's the impression we're being given from our media. Well, this makes me want to ask some very serious questions. Why are we just allowing people illegally to enter our country and stay here at all? Let alone, if they've applied through the system for asylum and been rejected, they should be removed immediately, and yet virtually no one is. And how is it he was working for a pizza chain? What protections are there in this country to stop firms paying low wages to people illegally living in Britain? It says so much about what is wrong with this country. Now, as a result of that, the government and Cobra, at their meeting for national security, have raised the threat level of more terrorist attacks to severe.
It is a stark reminder of the need for us all to remain utterly vigilant, and the Independent Joint Terrorism Analysis Centre, JTAC, are today raising the UK's threat level from substantial to severe, meaning an attack is highly likely.
So we're all supposed to live on our nerves and watch what is going on around us. And the Prime Minister tells us we must remain vigilant. Well, ask yourself a question. Do you feel Boris Johnson is being vigilant? I don't, and here is why. So far this year, over 20,000 young males from the Middle East and many other parts of the world have illegally entered the United Kingdom in small boats across the English Channel. Over 20,000 young men so far. They are all undocumented. They throw away their passports, they throw away their mobile phones. We have not got a clue who any of them are. It is quite possible that some of them are genuinely fleeing oppression, torture, whatever it may be. But what I think we're pretty certain of is they're nearly all coming here as economic migrants, probably to go and work in the illegal economy, which seems to be prospering in this country, and yet government, national and local, doesn't appear to want to lift a finger to do anything about it. It is very likely that some of them have fought in wars, be they wars in Africa, be they wars, of course, that have been taking place in countries like Syria. When ISIS said in 2015 that they would use the migration across the Mediterranean to put ISIS agents into Europe, I believed them. Be fairly stupid, actually, wouldn't it, not to believe them? And I think this poses a direct security threat to this country. How can you be being vigilant, Mr. Johnson, if 20,000 undocumented males have come into the country and the pace of those that is coming is increasing? Just think about last week. Relatively calm conditions, but albeit we're in November. We had 504 come across the channel on Tuesday, 695 come across the channel last Wednesday, and 1,185 come across the channel last Thursday. Yesterday, Monday the 15th, was very modest, only 105. Today, it's flat calm. I don't yet know what the number will be, but it'll certainly be somewhere between 500 and 1,000, if not even more than that. Priti Patel and others keep telling us we're about to do a deal, we're about to end all of this, but the French really need to start behaving. And the French fight back, and the French say, it's the Brits, they're being unreasonable towards us. It suits both sides to have a row. It suits Boris and Priti Patel to blame the French, rather than blaming their own weakness, since they've been in government themselves, running the show since 2019. And it suits the French to blame the old enemy for the best part of 1,000 years, because of course Macron is up for re-election. The fact is, the French do not offer 4-star hotels for those that illegally enter their country. And not just 4-star hotels and a regular change of the linen, but on top of that, free dental care, free health care, 3 square meals every day, a brand new mobile phone, £38 a week spending money, and a chance to work in the illegal economy earning cash only. And so far this year, of the over 24,000 people that have come, not one has been deported, and frankly, unless this government gets tough, not one will be deported. I said 6 months ago I thought 20,000 would come this year. I then upgraded that to 30,000. We're well on track for that. Unless we act, next year it could be 100,000. It could be a figure even bigger than that. This is out of control. But it isn't the fact that it's costing a fortune. It isn't the fact that we're being humiliated that I'm focusing on today. What I'm focusing on is the fact that it's a direct threat to our national security. And yet, despite the vast numbers coming, despite the fact that 8 people have drowned in the last fortnight trying to cross the channel, the British media, newspapers and broadcasters have done their damnedest not to report this in any way at all. I have, last week on GB News, been berating, holding up copies of the newspaper, saying why, when 700 people came yesterday, is it not even being mentioned in any of the newspapers or by the broadcasters? Over the weekend, they have finally caught up. But it's a conversation that nobody wants to have. And in Westminster, they're deluding themselves, completely deluding themselves, both Labour and the Conservatives, that we're more worried about what happened at COP26 than we are about the security of this country and the shape of our communities. They are hopelessly out of touch. I'm really worried about the future of our nation, really worried about what we're doing. And I want you to act. We need to put as much pressure on our MPs on this issue. And it doesn't matter whether they're Labour or Conservative. They need to understand how we feel. They need to realise how out of touch they are. They can talk about climate change in their lunches in the House of Commons dining room. What we want is our borders secured. It's what we voted for in Brexit. And if they're not secured, we know this country is not as safe as it ought to be. So please, badger your MP. Tell them we want something done, or you will not vote for them again at the next general election. Thank you for watching this video. Please click the subscribe icon and the notification bell so you never miss another video. And please sign up to my email mailing list. The link is in the description. Until next time, when I give you another film, another story that nobody else in mainstream media will dare to cover.